Welcome, welcome. Hey, here you see a round wood board that I got at Lowe's back in, I don't know, it's only like $8 back in the wood section. Um, and I am just dusting over some, I've got some gray, just a mixture of Cretex illustration paint, um, white and a drop of black to get gray, and I'm just kind of spraying in some textures through this stencil here in different areas just to have a little bit in the background, a little bit going on besides just solid black. Um, and I'm using different stencils, and you can make your own with just a mylar sheet and a little bit of what do you call those things? A heat wood burner. Hello. Um, and make little things in a mylar sheet with the wood burner, and then just kind of sand the back off so you got a flat surface and go from there. But I have lots of stencils I've bought and a lot I've just made myself because they can get kind of expensive if you buy a lot. There is one though that I've seen from Drew Blair that I want to get. I just haven't gotten around to ordering it yet. But this is a Star 5 stencil that I was spraying in some little textures. And we use these stencils in different areas, like for portraits and stuff, to give texture to the skin when you're doing a realistic, photorealistic painting, which I haven't done yet, but I may have to do that. But I don't do a lot of portraits unless somebody orders one. And I'm using my 7PS Creos 771, and I love this airbrush. It's a micron, and it is a 0.18 millimeter, and it is just about as good as the micron Takumi from my Wada. I guess I just don't like a side feed airbrush. I mean, the Takumi is really, really excellent. It's considered the best airbrush, but there's a lot of other brands out there that can give you what you want, and this is one that I really enjoy working with. I buy a lot of the Creos just because they're about half the price of an Iwata, and they are just as good, in my opinion, anyway. But you can kind of tweak any airbrush to get a fine line. So if you don't have the funds to buy an airbrush of this, because this one, the Creos, I think it runs around 180, something like that, but a Takumi runs around 500, so there you go. But you can get a hobby airbrush. The gallery, that's a good one to buy if you need a hobby one. And there's little ways that you can kind of learn with it. And I think it runs around 50, 60, I don't know. But you gotta, let's see, where is that place? The place that has all the cheap tools and stuff. Harbor Freight. Couldn't think of it. But anyway, I'm now using a stencil with a circle cut out. And we're doing a flying eyeball, if you wondered what I was doing. It's kind of the old school Roth designs, or the rat rods and stuff. But I'm not doing one of his designs. I'm kind of doing my own here. But yeah, I'm coming in with illustration white now, and it is a transparent white, where later on I'll be using an opaque white to brighten it up a little bit. And I'm just kind of laying in some color, and I'm building that up, because with airbrush you kind of build up your colors. And now I'm coming in with a little bit closer is what I'm doing to get the more, I guess, defining lines and spraying in those little squiggly veins in the eyeball, because we're going to be doing some red. The closer you get to your artwork, the smaller the line, and you want to reduce your air pressure. I usually spray about 20 with illustration because I thin it. It's already thin, but I do thin it a little more. So you want to reduce your pressure down for like this, probably about 15, because I'm using my little, if you notice, the airbrush, it's got a little screw underneath that cup. That reduces the air pressure too. So instead of having to bend down and reduce it on your air compressor, you can just turn that little screw there and it reduces your air pressure, and that's what I've done here in this one. I always take the cap off the tip of my airbrush so I can see my needle, and I can pick off the dried paint while I'm painting, because when you're using your airbrush, you always keep the air on, and it can dry really quick on the tip of that needle. So you always want to make it a habit of picking off your paint. Here I'm just kind of dusting around the area in white and coming back in, and I'm putting some brighter whites in there, and I'll be going over those with a pink and a red later on. But some of the areas of the white you'll pick up where in the eyeball it'll be a little brighter than other areas in your eyeball. And a lot of this will be covered up too, but you want to add as many. I like texture in my paintings. I don't like it just to be flat, so be covering up a lot of it, but you'll still pick up on a lot of textures in there. So I'm not real worried about the overspray. As you can see, there's a lot of overspray in that black area, which can be filled in later on by just spraying some black on it. And this isn't like a photorealistic painting. This is just something fun for a car show that they're going to raffle it off. So I thought I would give them a little bit old school here, which I'll be doing some pinstriping on this also. So, just kind of fun. Kind of decide what our next project should be. I don't know, maybe a portrait or something like that. Give me a comment on what you'd like to see, and I will give you a tutorial on it. Kind of staying back a little ways while I'm spraying that white, and you can see that this board is sanded too, so some of that white that you're seeing can be dusted off with a rag, and other parts of it we're just going to go. Here I'm coming in with some kind of a dark pink color to go around the outer part of the eye, and that's just a lot of white with one drop of red, because one drop goes a long way. If you hear my stomach growling, I guess I need something to eat. It seems like I either pick up my dog snoring or my stomach growling on the video, one or the other. You know, when you're painting, you kind of get lost in time. At least I do. It's therapeutic for me. It's relaxing, and if you've got a lot of stress going on in your life, a lot of chaos, it kind of draws your focus away from it so you can focus on something else and just, you know, and then later on it seems like it just pops in your head what to do. I feel like painting is calling for me. You know, I walked away from it for like 10 years. I thought that I had to give up my dream to be in ministry. Then I found out later on that's not what God wants at all. He wants us to fulfill our calling and our dream, and this is calling for me just like the calling for ministry was. So they go hand in hand. I can learn a lot from painting and share it in a ministry meeting, and you know, not everything goes as planned. Sometimes it spits out splatters all over the place. Airbrushers know what I'm talking about there. You might think I'm adding too much red, but I will spray white over that again. And, you know, after I did this, I thought, well, why didn't I could have just painted it with, you know, one-shot lettering enamel. Would have went a lot quicker to paint it all in enamel first and then just airbrush over highlights and stuff to make it pop out. But I didn't want sometimes when you're using like pinstripe lettering enamel and stuff, you get that thickness from the paint, and kind of wanted this to lay flat otherwise, you know, but anywho. Just kind of seeing what I got going on there. Not real worried about that circle not being completely around because I'm going to be adding some wings on this eye. A little hat, a little top hat. A lot of the old school pinstripers back in the day, when they went to car shows, people could pick them out because they would wear you know, Roth always wore a top hat, like a little tiny hat. And a lot of them do. Wiesen, can't think of his name now. Wiesenheimer, he always wore a top hat. And then, you know, some wear the flat hat, just something where people could pick them out of a car show so they could come and say, hey man, can you pinstripe my car? Yeah, I got 50 other in line. You're on the list. I'm probably mixing paint. Don't know what I'm doing. Thought I cut out all these long spots, but I guess I missed one. I am getting the opaque white, I do believe, to go in the center to do a kind of a hazel color eye. I'll be spraying blue. The white the white first, and then I'll be spraying blue over that. A light blue. I'm using cerulean blue instead of the cobalt blue. And then I missed a little bit of yellow over that, and of course it's going to turn a little green. And I'm just kind of circling it back and forth. Picking off the end of my needle there. Spraying some little highlights in here and there on the eye. So I had a student that his legs are, he has to have them wrapped and stuff. So he's out for about a month because he's was in the hospital a few times and he's got to stay off his legs. Let's see if he obeys what the doctor said. uh, but I wish him well. With the airbrushing, practice always makes perfect, you know. Even the professionals still make mistakes. You never know when something's gonna go wrong or right with the airbrush. We just do the best we can with taking care of your airbrush. Is so very, very vitally important. Always cleaning it out properly, always pulling that needle out, wiping it off, you know, using the right diluted distilled water, sorry, said diluted, but distilled water, and a little bit of the thinner. I use half and half, like 40-11 and distilled water. And making these little lines like you would see in the eyeball, and I'm just kind of wiggling it around. I'm not being real careful here. It's not like it's a real eyeball. I'm just kind of going back and forth, and I'm just kind of making a little bit of a rounded bend to that, so it would give the impression that it's kind of a round, not being straight at all with the lines. Here I'm spraying a little bit of that blue up there. Kind of wish I wouldn't have done that later, but it's fixable. The shadow of the hat, of course, is going to come down, and that's what I was thinking when I sprayed that, but you'll see I can, fix that later. And here I'm kind of spraying a little bit of a darker blue around the eye at the bottom. And on the opposite side, gonna kind of hit it here and there with some darker spots, shading. Here I'm just taking a little bit of the yellow, illustration yellow, and just kind of lightly going over that blue. I am not worrying at all about the overspray that's getting onto the white area of the eye, because later on, there's always a little bit of tint of a yellow in our eye, and later on I'll come back and touch that up. Just want to make sure to get that in there, and then I'm going to come back with the blue and darken that eyeball. You see flying eyeballs, you always see a blue eye or a green eye. You never see a hazel or bluish green eye, so I'm like, I'll just do a little bit of both. I'm darkening in the pupil there. And spraying a little bit of the black around the color of the eye, iris. You know, there's proper names for all this stuff. I just don't use them that often. The iris, the pupil, the white part. That's good for me. It's not really white either. You know, most painters, if they took a lesson in color theory, they'd find out that a lot of the colors that you think are like white, if you do a color theory and you actually put that next to a true white, you'd find out that it's more of a gray or more of a bluish gray than it is white. Just putting some highlights in the eyeball. Yeah, you're not even noticing that yellow in the eye now, where I had sprayed misted some white. Just kind of seeing what I got here, and I think I'm going to be sketching out a hat. And while I was sketching this hat, I didn't put it down far enough on the eyeball, but it can be fixed too. So if you mess up, never think that it can't be fixed, because it can. Quite a long video. These are just acrylic markers. You know, the airbrush will cover that up, so I'm not much worried about that. Just trying to see where I didn't want to go over the eyeball itself with the marker, because it would take some of it away, but as you see, I did. There, the eye is just, I mean, the hat's just not setting right on the eye. I don't know why I didn't see that when I was marking it out, but it kind of looks like it's floating up off of the eye a little bit the way I have it, but I will fix that as I'm doing the shape of the hat there. And the wings are going to be coming up from underneath the hat. So, as you see, I'm starting to bend some areas in the hat to make it look more like it's going to fit it, fitting down onto the eye. And I'm putting some white in the area where the red band is going to be around the hat, just so the red will pop out more. Excuse me. I'm just kind of doing this quickly. Here's the wing that's going to start coming out here. And you always, on black, if you're working on black, you always want to kind of do it in white first. Shade it in white first. Thank you for watching. Come back for the rest of this tutorial. Subscribe, share.